more options are always better. So it's always good for a manufacturer to be pushing the envelope, developing new technology, and offering more products to the consumer. We win as consumers when manufacturers give us more options. When I first got the opportunity to drive the all-new 8th generation Corvette back in late 2019, I had two initial feelings. First of all, the car is amazing. Second of all, I miss the C7 Corvette. And the reason behind that is this car is better from an objective standpoint in nearly every way. And I mean the 8th generation Corvette in general over the C7. It's quicker, it's faster, it's sharper, and it's better on track. But it's not as fun here in the real world when you're daily driving. And this E-Ray makes that problem worse. For those of you who don't know, the E-Ray is the first all-wheel drive and first electrified Corvette from Chevrolet. It features the same 6.2-liter pushrod V8 motor in the back, or technically the middle of the car, same as the Stingray, but adds about 400 pounds and gets you an electric motor in the front with a 1.1 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery pack that totals, when the systems are combined, the front and the rear, 655 horsepower, just a little bit shy of the sweetheart Chevrolet Corvette Z06 that we drove earlier last year. And because this is all-wheel drive and because of that instant torque from the electric motor, this car actually is quicker than the big dog Z06. This got 2.5 seconds 0 to 60 according to car and driver's testing. That factors in a little bit of a rollout, but that is crazy quick. And because it's all-wheel drive, you can get those crazy sub-3 acceleration numbers in virtually any driving situation. It's not like the rear-wheel drive car where you got to be on a good grippy surface and the tires have to be warmed up. No, you can hop in this E-Ray, get out onto your local road, mat the gas, and you're doing 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds. And it's uncanny. It's so powerful and it's so fun. But the problem with that, and the problem with the fact that we have all of the Z06's suspension and wide body kit and huge thick tires, 345s in the rear, 275s in the front. This one does have the optional summer tires as well. The problem with that is that when you drive the Corvette E-Ray quickly, it's boring on public roads. It really is. It's super fun to launch it. It's super fun to go over the speed limit. But if you want to have fun driving it in any sort of reasonable, sane manner, the car, it's too easy for it. It's not a good cruiser. So I have had a lot of fun with this car. We're going to go out and do some spirited driving right now. I'm going to show you how cool it is. But for me, it's a tough sell between either something like a more basic C8 Corvette or something like the Z06, which only costs about $7,500 more and gets you a fantastic flat plane crank V8 motor. So let's go talk about it. First things first, I'd love to drive with the Targa top off here, but it's too loud to do that. So we're going to open the doors and the windows and put the top back on. I'll show you here. Every C8 Corvette is a convertible in one sense of the word, but this coupe version, you have to do the work yourself. It's not like the convertible where you can just push a button and have the roof go back. Fortunately, this car you're looking at is filled with carbon fiber packages, including the carbon fiber roof. So this is quite light to lift up and set back down here. Let's take a quick peek at the window sticker before we start it up. You're looking at a 2LZ E-Ray coupe. Notable options include, I should have pointed this out, overstall it here, $13,000 carbon fiber wheels. Pretty impressive there. Be sure not to curb them. We've got carbon fiber ground effects and the carbon fiber front splitter. Whole bunch of other carbon fiber things. Sea Wolf Gray is the name of the color. I don't know what a Sea Wolf is, but maybe it's wolf gray with a little bit of sea tint. And you're paying a little bit for various things like $500 for the tires, not too bad. Torch red seat belts for $500. All in, you're looking at $141,000 for this Corvette. Now, I will say, from a daily driving standpoint, the E-Ray does have some great features, one of which is the ability to start it up and drive in electric modes. If you put your foot on the brake, twist the drive mode selector, and then it says stealth mode unavailable. Is that because my door is open? Why isn't stealth mode available? There we go. Apparently can't do stealth mode when the door is open. So then you choose stealth, start the car up. You can hear the front end lift going to work. And I can drive the E-Ray up to 45 miles per hour on electric only. And that's actually been really nice because I live in a little bit of a tighter condo complex, and the sharp bark of the 6.2 waking itself up is a bit much, especially if I'm heading out late at night or early in the morning and I don't want to be rude to my neighbors. It's nice to be able to take off like this. And then you can either start the vehicle up manually by twisting the mode selector, or you get up to 45 miles per hour, or you just press the throttle hard enough and the engine will come to life. And they give you a nice readout up in the head-up display and in the gauge cluster in front of you of how quick you're going and how much you're pressing the accelerator, to where if you do it any more, then the vehicle is going to come alive. The engine, I should say. But you've got about 100... Oh! I was just going to say, you've got about 150 horsepower to use. And I was going to try to just get up and get going, but car started coming, and you can see I've just pressed my foot on the gas, and engine comes to life. As a daily driver sort of car, this just functions mostly like a standard Corvette. You're not going to really notice the all-wheel drive aspects or the extra power unless you lean into it more, and then, trust me, you feel it. But just driving around, that's a Corvette. You know, it's a nice place to be in here. I've always been a fan of the new Corvette's interior. I don't mind the square steering wheel. I like the tech package. And I should point out, I really appreciate that Chevrolet actually gave us some nerdy information about our electric system in the car. One of my biggest complaints about the new, what was it, the Toyota Tacoma that we had recently, is that you've got the hybrid system working in there, but you don't get to see any of the behind the scenes and the nerdy bits about the system, whereas this one, you absolutely do. I've got a little gauge on the gauge cluster telling me there that how much horsepower is either going in or out of the electric motor, and then I can see it up here on the infotainment screen. It's showing me electric output and engine output in horsepower. So if I lean on it right now, I can see, I'm getting maybe a little bit of electric help here or there, but mostly just engine. And you can see how the electric motor is filling in either between shifts or in different parts of your driving. And you've got a little dial showing you how much juice is left in the battery. Again, things that I like to see out of a hybrid vehicle, whether the point of the hybrid is to be economical or not. You also notice this engine dipping down into V4 mode with the active fuel management very regularly. Because that electric motor can step in and fill in some of the torque gaps, it's easier for the engine to go into V4 mode because all of its power isn't always needed. So I bet you once we get up to speed here, we're just cruising about 45-50 miles per hour, the engine will switch into V4 pretty quickly. There it is, right there, cruising along V4, and if I accelerate a little bit, the electric motor can step in and keep the engine from using all of its cylinders. You do hear that electric motor a little bit when you're braking, and some regen is happening to get that kinetic energy back into the battery. Here you go, I'm actually accelerating up a hill. You can see, getting up 50 miles per hour, and the engine's been in V4 this whole time, just using electric help. Before I get tossed to the wolves for saying the C8, especially the E-Ray, isn't fun, we'll do the party piece, we'll do a launch. It's definitely one of the exciting aspects of the E-Ray. Everything firmed up. The adaptive dampers are on their most aggressive race setting. The steering is heavy, and it pulls you. You feel the yank from that front axle motor. Got the 8-speed dual clutch doing its best, and you can obviously manual shift as well with the paddles. And we've had just the normal C8 Stingray out on track, and it was so good. It was just fantastic. But out here, I don't want to have to be going so fast just in order to hear this engine and to feel some sort of challenge and excitement. The car is so much more capable, especially with these summer tires, than any public road you can throw at it. I mean, maybe if you're taking it up into the canyons north of Malibu, then you could really be flexing this and feel like you're taking full advantage of the car. But for most of your driving, it's overkill. So you should be taking it to a track. Really, if you want to be fully exploiting the E-Ray's potential, all of its aerodynamics and its grip and its suspension, you put it in track mode and take it to a track. But you're paying about $115,000 for an E-Ray to get into one. Why wouldn't you just spend an extra $7 or $8 grand and get yourself into a Z06? Then you're getting a more exciting engine for both street driving and track driving, and you're getting rear-wheel drive. It's a lighter car. It's going to be easier on tires and brakes. Well, maybe not brakes because of the regen, but at least easier on tires. And it's going to be a lighter, more flickable, more energetic sort of car. Or you could save yourself a ton of money, get a standard C8 Corvette with the Z51 package and put your own suspension on there and maybe add a little bit of extra aero, and then you still have a fantastic track car and you're saving a ton of cash. Okay, so then maybe you're not tracking your E-Ray. Maybe you're like Chevy claims and you're trying to market this to someone who wants to use their Corvette year-round. Okay, well, while I worked at Car and Driver magazine, we did have Corvettes year-round. We threw winter tires on there, and we had plenty of sports cars that we drove all throughout the Michigan winters. And other than a little bit of ground clearance issues sometimes with snow buildup, was never an issue to drive those cars year-round, even though they were rear-wheel drive and sport-oriented, because a good set of winter tires went so much further than any sort of all-wheel drive system can go in making a car safe and capable for winter driving. Because remember, yeah, you know, you can have rear-wheel drive or front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, but all cars are going to have four-wheel braking and two-wheel steering. So it's more important to have proper rubber on your cars than it is to have four wheels that are sending power to the road. I've personally taken a normal, totally stock, all-terrain tire-equipped C8 Corvette up into the northern Michigan snow, and we did totally fine. I mean, the car doesn't need more rear-wheel traction or more drive-wheel traction in order to be usable in the winter. Its biggest holdback is just ground clearance. On top of that, if you're someone who could comfortably afford a six-figure supercar like this Corvette E-Ray, you're probably going to have the means to afford a pretty decent daily driver as well. We're not talking about someone who's got a winter beater because they need to park their rear-wheel drive sports car for the year. No, we're talking about somebody who's going to have the means to have something nice as their daily driver that they're okay with driving year-round. Maybe get all-wheel drive, be good that way. So it's sad for me to say, but I don't think the E-Ray is going to do very well. The reason it's sad for me is because I can feel the passion and the engineering in this car. What I've always really loved about General Motors and Corvette, Camaro, Cadillac V, Blackwing, whatever, when General Motors Performance, GM Performance, when that team puts their mind and their might and money and engineering expertise toward making a good performance car, they make some of the best performance vehicles. The chassis, the transmission, the suspension, the engine, all of it. Fantastic package across the board. So I feel that in this car. I see the nerdiness. I see the precision and the engineering and the skill that went into making this vehicle. And it's a shame that I don't think Chevrolet is going to be properly rewarded for building such a good car, because I just don't, I myself, even if I were of the means, wouldn't see the point of getting this particular model. I would either go Z06 or I'd go base C8, or even better, I would go just a Corvette C7 Grand Sport with the 7-speed manual, and I'd call it a day, because that's a more fun daily driving sort of car to me. Because realistically, when you go out for a weekend drive, this is what it usually is. This is a beautiful road here in Southern California, and I'm usually stuck behind vehicles going the speed limit on a double yellow road. I'm not going to pass here, so I'm just going to I'm literally driving this around on 4 cylinders right now, because that is what most driving is just cruising. And the C8's not made for cruising, and adding an extra 150 horsepower doesn't make it any better for that. On top of that, I've personally taken a normal, totally stock, all-terrain tire-equipped C8 Corvette up into the northern Michigan snow, and we did totally fine. I mean, the car doesn't need more rear-wheel traction or more drive-wheel traction in order to be usable in the winter. Its biggest holdback is just ground clearance. While considering my stance for this review, I thought to myself, okay, well, you had the Acura NSX a few months ago, and you were overall positive about that car. So how can you be negative about the E-Ray when it's essentially an Acura NSX and better in most ways? Well, the problem is not the car, it's the other Corvettes. With the Acura, there's just one NSX, so it's not like there was a flat plane crank V8 NSX that I was comparing it to and saying, oh no, you should definitely get the hybrid V6 NSX because that's the better one. No. If this were the only C8 Corvette, this would be a fantastically glowing review. It would be, wow, this car is so fast, it's capable, it's fun, it's still got the problems of being boring on the streets, but overall, very impressive car, because it is an impressive car. The problems for me are just that the other Corvettes are a better buy in my book. And hey, if you find yourself as being the right buyer for the E-Ray, more options are always better. So it's always good for a manufacturer to be pushing the envelope, developing new technology, and offering more products to the consumer. We win as consumers when manufacturers give us more options. So I'm glad that the E-Ray exists. I just don't think it's going to do very well. Saying this, how I don't think the Prius is going to do very well. I like the Prius. It's, what, 4th, 5th on my list of cars right now that I've driven this year. But I don't recommend buying one because there are just better options out there for most people. But gosh, if you are going to get yourself a Z or an E-Ray, make sure you pay for the front end lift, because I have been using that all the time around here. I don't know how you pull into driveways and parking lots in Southern California without having front end lift, because even with the front end lift, I've scraped the front a few times coming into things. Here it is, the Chevrolet Corvette E-Ray. Very cool car, very tough sell. Almost forgot to rank the Corvette E-Ray on the Daily Motor leaderboard. Current leaders right now: Kia EV9, Hyundai Ioniq 6, Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro. For me, I know where this one's going. It's going right here between the BMW i5 and the Hyundai Tucson. So that puts it in 8th place so far out of 15 vehicles. Smack dab in the middle. Like I said, it's cool, it's really good, it's impressive, but it is lacking some things for me that would make it a more compelling car to purchase. What do you all think? Am I wrong? Let me know. I don't know though. Let's give a few years of sales statistics, see how the E-Ray does at this price. Thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on this electrified all-wheel drive Corvette, check the link below, and we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.